Alright, so today I want to introduce you to the banana bee ball python. The banana bee actually consists of two genes, the banana and the spider, and it makes for a really amazing combination. As a matter of fact, the banana and the spider are both really visually dominant, and if you work other genes into the banana bee, a lot of times you can definitely see both the banana and the spider really shining through. And I'd say as far as ball python combos, it probably makes one of the most impressive combinations working other genes into the banana bee. So today I want to jump over the internet and I want to show you the amazing potential of the banana bee ball python. Alright, so I'm going to jump over here at Morphmarket.com and I want to start with the two genes that make up the banana bee. And I want to start with the banana. This is what a banana looks like. As a matter of fact, this is also what a coral glow looks like. A lot of people think that the banana and the coral glow are the same gene, although I've actually seen some differences, especially in hatchlings, if you look at the difference between the banana and the coral glow. Although there are certain things that link these two genes where I think they're pretty much the same. The bananas and the coral glows are the only two genes that make male makers and female makers. So for example, if you actually had a male maker banana and you bred it to something else, all the banana offspring would come out as males, which is kind of a really weird anomaly. And it only happens with the bananas and the coral glows. And kind of on the flip side, you can actually have a female maker and all the banana offspring come out as females. And let me tell you, that's kind of one of the frustrating parts of the project. I actually have both bananas and coral glows in my collection, and they're both male makers, and the only thing I produce from those are male offspring. They say like you can actually get a female, but the odds are like 1 in 100 or something crazy like that. And you figure if you breed a banana to something else, you get, you know, half the offspring come out as banana. So if it's a 1 in 100 odds, it's actually like 200 offspring that you have to breed. You know, it'd take the rest of your life to, you know, get a female banana or coral glow, but it can actually happen. And here is the other gene in the banana bee, and that is the spider. This is what a spider looks like. And a lot of people ask me, what are the genes in a spider? It looks like it's made up of a bunch of genes, and this is just one gene. It's pretty and a visually stunning snake. It almost looks like it has Calico and some other genes in it, and it's just one gene. It kind of has this spider web pattern right down the top of the snake, and a lot of the spiders will have like this really crazy head pattern on top of the spider. And here's what happens if you take spider and you breed it to a banana. Take a look at this. This is the banana spider. This is probably one of the most visually stunning two gene combinations that I've seen over here on Morphmarket. You definitely see the influence of the banana really bringing in a lot of the yellows and the oranges, and you can definitely see the influence of the spider kind of bringing in the spider web pattern on top of the snake. Makes for a really impressive combination. As a matter of fact, these aren't really that expensive. This one actually sold in 2018 for $400, so it's not like, you know, tens of thousands of dollars like some of these ball pythons. So I wanted to show you what the banana spider looks like mixing other genes into the combination. And the one that really probably has the most dramatic effect is Anchi. Makes for a really impressive combination. And essentially what Anchi is, it's a gene that really reduces the pattern of the snake. Sometimes it brings it down to almost like tiger stripes, and sometimes it doesn't really reduce it that much. But kind of the cool thing about the Anchi is a lot of times it'll bring in a lot of yellows and oranges and really brighten and enhance the combinations. It's pretty amazing. And here's what happens if you work Anchi into the banana bee. And take a look at this. This is kind of an interesting combination. This is also known as a banana stinger bee. And look at how it really reduces the pattern. And I've actually seen some of these that are super bright yellow, that are just blazing bright, that don't even look real. And I've seen some a little bit faded out. I think it really depends on the lines of the different genes coming together to form it. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that if you work banana and Anchi into a lot of combinations, a lot of times it won't develop the freckles as it ages and matures. And I'm thinking it's probably the same thing with the banana and the spider. I haven't really seen a lot of them that really develop a lot of the spots, like the little freckles all over the snake as they age and mature. Sometimes you can work banana into certain combos and it reduces the freckles, and if you just have a banana by itself, the older it gets, the more freckles it has, until it's completely full of freckles. It really changes and transforms as it ages and matures. So So here is the pied. The pied's actually a recessive gene. So actually to work it into the combination, you have to make hets and then breed the hets back together to get a visual. You need 2 copies of the pied to get a visual. And essentially what the pied does is it brings in these big splotches of white. And kind of the interesting thing with the pied is a lot of times it'll really jumble up the pattern even more than, you know, some of the other genes that, you know, if you actually work in, like, I would say if you're trying to do like a genetic stripe pied or something like that, a lot of times the pied will really just break up the pattern to where a lot of times you really don't get the intended effect, because pied almost acts like one of the pattern enhancing genes in the colored part of the snake. And here's what happens if you work pied into the banana bee. Take a look at this crazy snake and you're like, hey, what happened to my banana bee? And essentially what happened is the banana, if you actually look at the genes on this one, if you actually work the spider with the pied, you get what is known as a spider pied, also known as a spide. And essentially what that does is it pushes all the color and pattern just to the head of the snake if you have a spider pied. And then you take the banana and work it into the spider pied. And essentially what you get is you get a spider pied with a different color head, which makes for a really amazing combination. As a matter of fact, when I first started in ball pythons about 5 years ago, I think I was looking at the very first banana spider pieds that were ever in existence, and now they've been around for a while. This one is, matter of fact, this one's still for sale, $950. But let me tell you, when I started in ball pythons, these were like thousands and thousands of dollars. I couldn't even believe the combinations that actually exist in ball pythons. It's pretty amazing. So here is the leopard. The leopard is kind of a pseudo dark morph. So a lot of times if you take like a true dark morph and you mix it with a lot of other genes, it'll really darken the background of a lot of combinations. And the leopard, it really depends on what you mix it with. Sometimes it'll darken it and sometimes it won't. Really depends on the genes in the mix. And a lot of times the leopard will also jumble up the pattern. It's I'd say it's probably one of the best pattern enhancing genes, and it's also kind of a pseudo-dark, so it kind of is a combination of both. And here's what happens if you work leopard into the banana bee. Take a look at this crazy snake. That is pretty amazing. And kind of the thing that I noticed with a lot of these banana bee combinations is it really keeps the high contrast and a lot of the pattern and a lot of the color in a lot of combinations. Makes for a really amazing combo. And you can definitely tell the leopard is darkening the pattern just a little bit and really kind of jumbling up the pattern. You can definitely see these little spots on the side are pretty much from the combination of the leopard working with the spider. Pretty amazing. So here is the cinnamon. When it comes to dark morphs, the cinnamon I would consider to be a true dark morph. As a matter of fact, if you take 2 cinnamons and breed them together, you get a super cinnamon, which is a completely black and patternless snake, which almost looks like a little black worm or something like that. The super cinnamons are pretty amazing. And here's what happens if you work cinnamon into the banana bee. Take a look at this. This is kind of interesting. It darkens the pattern even more, and really, it seems like in this case, it really reduces the pattern. You still get a little bit of the spider webbing up on top. Usually cinnamon isn't that much of a pattern enhancing, although with a lot of cinnamon combinations, a lot of times you'll get like streaking on the side of the snake, but you really don't see it in this combination. Really an amazing combo. So here is the pinstripe. The pinstripe is also really visually dominant when you're working in with other combinations. It's one of my favorite genes. It's actually a dominant mutation. You breed it to something else, half the offspring come out as pinstripe, and it's a really super bright gold. Some of them can be almost like a metallic gold. Really amazing combo. You can see these tiny little pinstripes. Usually on the sides of the pinstripes, it can be kind of variable, but sometimes you'll still see the little alien heads, and sometimes they'll be kind of wiped out. And here's what happens if you work pinstripe into the banana bee. Take a look at this crazy snake. This is pretty amazing. And essentially what this is a banana spinner. And the spinner is the combination of the pinstripe and the spider. And I think that's what's really kind of wiping out all the pattern on the snake. The combination of the pinstripe and the spider makes for a really amazing combo. And you kind of see the white coming up the sides. That is, it almost looks like there's calico in the mix. As a matter of fact, you might be tricked into thinking there's calico into some of these, and usually that is from the influence of the spider. So speaking of Calico, this is what a Calico looks like. And essentially what the Calico does is it really brings up a lot of white on the sides of the snake. A lot of people think that Calico is pretty much the same thing as sugar. It's pretty much interchangeable. Although I think I've seen more Calicos that have a higher amount of white than a lot of your sugars. Although I think some people would disagree. And here's what happens if you are Calico into the banana bee. Take a look at this. And when you're Calico in, sometimes it can be kind of tricky because you can get a really low white spider with the Calico kind of bringing it up halfway, and a lot of people say, you know, this is a spider, possibly Calico, because a lot of times you don't know if it's in there for sure. But in this case, you definitely see the combination of a high white spider and the Calico bringing the pattern all the way up to the top. That is a really amazing combination. So here is the butter, and I'd say when it comes to butter, it's kind of a dual, I guess it acts kind of in two different ways. If you mix it with certain combinations, a lot of times it will really brighten the snake and bring out a lot of high contrast, and then with certain combinations, the butter will actually whiten the snake and kind of fade it out in the background. And a lot of people think the butter is the same thing as the lesser. It's kind of interesting, all these different genes that a lot of people think are the same. The butter, the lesser, the Calico, the sugar, and the banana and the coral glow. It's kind of interesting. You have all these genes that are kind of like repetitions, and a lot of people, you know, I've actually seen like the banana and the coral glow. Essentially what I've heard, kind of the story behind that, is two different people found it, discovered it brand new, almost at the same time, and they named it two different things, and it was only later that they realized that they thought they might have had the same gene discovered at the same time in the wild. That is pretty amazing. And here's what happens if you work butter into the banana bee. Take a look at this. This is a really interesting combination. So in this case, the butter is definitely lightening the background of the snake. And it's kind of the same with the lesser. The lesser really lightens and enhances a lot of combinations, especially if you work lesser or butter in with like pastel or fire. A lot of times it'll really lighten the background. This is a really amazing snake. So here is the Freeway. This is one of the projects I definitely want to get into at some point. The Freeway is a little bit tricky because it's actually an allelic combination. It consists of the asphalt and the yellow belly. And the asphalt and the yellow belly by themselves look almost like a normal ball python. But when you breed them together, you get this really amazing combination that just really explodes. And kind of the hard part of this is if you actually take a Freeway and you breed it to something else, half the offspring come out as yellow belly, half come out as asphalt, and they both look like normals, and you can't tell the difference between a yellow belly and an asphalt. So a lot of times you'll see like an asphalt / yellow belly. It's one or the other, but I'd say I haven't really found anyone that can differentiate the two. They look almost exactly the same. And I'd say that's probably one of the most challenging parts of the Freeway and the Highway projects. The Highway is kind of the same thing with gravel instead of asphalt. And here's what happens if you work Freeway into the banana bee. Take a look at this. This is really amazing. This just really explodes the whole entire site. And essentially what's happening is if you actually take spider and you work it into a Freeway, it has this really unusual effect where it really scrambles up the pattern to where you can't even see spider in the mix. It's pretty amazing. And then you add banana on top of it and it completely transforms the color into this pretty crazy snake. As a matter of fact, this is probably one of the most expensive snakes over here. This one is, well, this one's not too bad. This one actually sold for $2,000 back in 2018. Pretty amazing combination. So this is the last one I wanted to show you. This is kind of an interesting combination. So this is the Pastel Lesser DJI, and this is really showing you the ultimate potential of the banana bee. And if you actually take a snake like this that doesn't really have a lot of color, but it really has a crazy jumbled up pattern, and you add the banana bee to it, and you get some really dramatic effects. Take a look at this. This is one of the most amazing snakes. This is the Pastel DJI Spider Lesser Banana, and take a look at that that thing. That is crazy. It almost looks like a zebra or something with these crazy stripes coming right down the snake. It's pretty amazing. And essentially what this is, if you actually take a look at all these jeans, this is really crazy. And 100% het puzzle. Puzzle is a really expensive recessive jean. This one's probably pretty expensive. $1,800. Not too bad actually for all these jeans. So essentially what this is the DJI is a dark morph, which is kind of interesting. I thought it'd be maybe a little bit darker than that. And the DJI really scrambles up the pattern. And then you have the spider on top of that. So you actually have the addition of the DJI and the spider really jumbling up the pattern. And then the lesser kind of cleans up the background, lightens it a little bit. And then the combination of the banana and the pastel is really bringing out a lot of color. Pretty amazing combination. All right, so it is time for the question of the day. And Robert Tranny asks, could you do a video on how to identify genes in ball pythons? And that is a very good question. As a matter of fact, I've been asked that question quite a few times, and that is probably one of the most challenging parts of ball pythons. There's so many genes and so many combinations, especially if you're breeding ball pythons and you even know the genetics of the parents. Sometimes it can be really difficult. You get some unexpected combinations of genes, and then if you have a completely unknown snake and you don't know the genes in it, that can be really difficult. And some of them, I'd say, some of them it's pretty obvious, like if you had like a banana or a spider or like a bamboo. This is Bobby around my neck. This is a bamboo. Just one single gene, really visually dominant, really impressive gene. And if you have some of those really obvious genes, sometimes it's easy. But if you have a combination of genes or you have some really subtle ones in there, I'd say really it takes a keen eye and probably a lot of experience in looking at genes and combinations before you can actually figure out what genes are possibly in your ball python. So that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.